What's up, everybody? Welcome into the stream. We are getting started with some Monday night football tonight. We're talking Chiefs versus Jaguars, the AFC standing champions versus the up and comers, the prince that was promised versus the guy who's had it all his entire career. But let me tell you right now, as it looks, the script is changing. Are the Chiefs finally ready to fall? I believe so. I think tonight, the prince that was promised will take down the Kansas City Chiefs at home. This is probably the biggest game in Jacksonville Jaguars history since they played the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game in 2018. Now, that sounds like I'm hyping this game up to be the damn Super Bowl, and I kind of am. This is everything that the Jags have been working for since they drafted Trevor Lawrence back in 2021. The team is coming together. Liam Cohen has this offense starting to roll with the run game. The pass game is what's yet to come. And we shall see if that comes to fruition tonight versus a Chiefs defense who has kind of started to put the pieces together, albeit against some broken teams in the Ravens and the Giants. Comment down in the comments, what picks do you have for tonight? I think the number one pick that I'm going with is Jacksonville money line. Overall, this is a pretty healthy team. I know that Trevor Lawrence hasn't played the best of games so far in his early season, but I believe the best is yet to come. Liam Cohen is an excellent offensive-minded head coach. I think he is a brilliant guy. He's not going to let Trevor Lawrence fall on his face. And this is a guy who everyone has critiqued over the last 3 seasons, but I am here to tell you the talent is there. You can clearly see the talent is there. And what I want to point out to you right now is Trevor Lawrence has all of the traits. He can do this tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's on the road, or the Chiefs are on the road. The Jags are at home. They're comfortable. And take a look at this. Trevor Lawrence at home is a pretty damn good quarterback. 70% of the time he's going over this 219 and a half. He is averaging around a 66% completion percentage. He throws 1 touchdown for every half interception. So that's a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He can even run the ball decently. He's averaging 16 yards a game on 3 carries. He scored 4 touchdowns in his last 10 home games on the ground. And in prime time, as of recent, he's not too bad. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception in his last 3 primetime games. Now, this is what I want to point out, ladies and gentlemen. The Jags just have not been on primetime in Trevor Lawrence's career. The vast majority of these games, I believe, are Monday and Thursday night football, which I think every single NFL team is required to do at least once a year. This is the moment, guys, that the Jaguars can capture a nationally televised audience and let them know that the world has yet to see what the prince that was promised has to come. This is it. This is the opportunity. Now, I'm hyping this up for more than it probably is, but I'm practically preaching it right now. I'm getting after it. I am a believer in this Jacksonville Jaguars team. This is a Jaguars team that truly can get the job done. They have the offensive weapons to do it. Their defense has been flying to the football. Call me crazy. Call me crazy, guys, but I am a true believer in this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Let me just take one pause moment here to grab some water. I'm a little thirsty today, but we're going to hop into my favorite picks tonight. Give me one moment. All right, we're back. We're getting started. I have some unbelievably juicy picks for you today. For starters, let's talk about the team props. Jacksonville Jaguars, their line right now sits at 20.5 team points. They've done this 50% of their last 10 games. At home, it's still 50%. In prime time, albeit over the last, 5 years, they've only played in 9 primetime games. They've done it 44% of the time. The Kansas City Chiefs on the road in their last 5 games are up and down. They're either shutting teams out like the Steelers or the Giants this year, or they're letting the floodgates open up. I mean, the Eagles in the Super Bowl putting up 40, the Chargers opening week throw up 27, the Broncos. This was a game, I believe, that the Chiefs benched all of their starters. Now, there's not a lot of evidence that I have to put behind this. What I do have, though, is that the Jags this season, look at their first 4 games of the year: Panthers, Bengals, Texans, 49ers. They're averaging 24 points per game, I believe. Maybe a little bit more than 23.8 if you take out this Colts win or Colts loss from last season. They're averaging 24 points a game, and at home, they've done excellent. The Texans, by the way, probably the best defense in football. That's a team that I truly believe is on its way to an AFC South championship or divisional championship, maybe even an AFC championship berth. I'm talking about the Houston Texans and their defense. They got it rolling versus the Ravens this past week, albeit the Ravens were extremely injured. But I digress. I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Putting up 17 is definitely something to write home about. This 26-point win, by the way, versus San Francisco on the road in San Francisco was probably the best Jacksonville Jaguars win that we've seen in the past 3 seasons. Yes, the Niners were banged up in this spot, but for Trevor Lawrence to go on the road and put up this type of performance, it was unbelievably impressive. But what was even more impressive, guys, we'll come back to this team prop here in just a moment. Travis Etienne, excuse me. Trevor is his little brother who plays for Carolina. Travis Etienne, guys, has been dominating this year. 143 yards versus the Panthers, 71 yards on 14 carries versus the Bengals, 56 yards on 16 carries versus the Texans. That's pretty damn good for the Houston Texans. And then 124 yards versus the 49ers to pair with 3 touchdowns. Commanding performances from Travis Etienne so far this year. In his last 4 games, he is averaging damn near 100 yards per game. As a matter of fact, you take away the 66 from last season, he's averaging 100 yards per game from scrimmage. This guy is on another planet right now, and I am unbelievably excited to see what he can do against a Chiefs defense that has looked very soft versus the run. If you want to see team statistics versus rush yards, by the way, guys, on the doinksports.com website, check this out. You go down here. This is how I use the platform. I want to know, without having to go to ESPN, what do the Chiefs do against the run? Well, we can see here against running backs under rush yards. We see that this year, the Kansas City Chiefs are 21st in the league in allowing 94.5 rush yards per game from running backs. And then overall, they're 21st in the league in allowing rushing touchdowns to running backs, 23rd in the league and 28th in the league in rush yards and rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks, respectively. This is not your Chiefs defense that you've seen over the last few years. Look at these. Look at the comparison here, right? 2025, one of the worst defenses against the run. 2024, they were one of the best, only allowing 0.6 touchdowns per game to running backs, 0 reception touchdowns to running backs, and they were 4th in the league in rush yards per game to running backs. This is a completely different Kansas City Chiefs front 7. They've gotten pretty damn good in the secondary, but the key to winning games, right, is winning them at the line of scrimmage. Guess who did that this season? The Philadelphia Eagles did that. They only put up 20 points, but they bled the clock. The Los Angeles Chargers with Amarion Hampton and Najee Harris did the exact same thing. That's why they beat the Chiefs. That is the formula. The Giants struggled to do that because they were playing with Russell Wilson. I guarantee you, if you run that back with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo doing what they're doing now, that game would look a hell of a lot different. And then the Ravens, that Ravens team completely fell apart in that game. Derrick Henry, injured. Lamar Jackson, injured. Roquan Smith, injured. Not to mention their best defensive tackle, not even going to try to pronounce his name, out for the season. He didn't play in that game. That was not your typical AFC championship contending Baltimore Ravens. The script is out, though. These two games tell it all. As a matter of fact, we can see right here, right now, look at what the Chargers were able to do to the Kansas City Chiefs, putting up 27 points on the Chiefs. And then the Eagles only passed the ball for 100 yards, rushed it for a combined, let's see, I believe that's a combined 130. They controlled the turnover game. Patrick Mahomes with that interception. And then the Chiefs just could not run the ball. Look at this. Pacheco, Brashard Smith, the rookie from SMU, and Kareem Hunt combined for 19 carries. And I believe that is less than 60 yards. Yeah, that's 55 yards on 19 carries. That's about 2.5 yards a carry. That's awful. Patrick Mahomes had to try to carry the entire load all by himself. He's been on the run, by the way, so far this season. So I digress. The Jaguars have been winning at the line of scrimmage. The game plan to beat the Chiefs is to out-physical them. This is a perfect mashup of strength versus weakness here. And that's why when we look at this team prop, I love the Jags over 20.5 points. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, we're punching this all the way up to over 23.5 points plus 142 using DraftKings here. Like I said, look here at the Jags so far this season. 26, 27, 26, 17. If you want to get juicy with it and buy that extra point, which I am kind of convincing myself right now that I'm going to do, that's a perfect plan, in my opinion. The Jaguars have done it in 3 of their 4 games so far this season. The Chiefs have only allowed it in 1 of their 4. But this is a game where, like I said, the script is out. Run the football, pound the rock, and then get into your play action. This is Liam Cohen's game plan going all the way back to Tampa Bay. This is how I use the site. I see the Jags are scoring over 24.5, 3 out of the 4 games of the season. Every team is better at home than they are on the road. The Chiefs are going to be struggling defensively in this game. I believe they're dealing with a couple of injuries that have some guys questionable for tonight's game. This is why I believe in the Jaguars. I'm hella convinced that they're going to win tonight. I think taking them plus 3.5 is a safe play. I'm going with something a little riskier, but we will get into that in just a moment. Let's talk about the Jags right now, over 24.5 points, plus 182. And if you want to see your favorite books using the doinksports.com website, this is where all of the value kicks in. Leverage, educate yourself. If you are in the states of Louisiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Georgia, a lot of places that allow using different types of books, don't just use one, because you are shorting yourself pennies on the dollar. And while that doesn't sound like a lot of money, think about shorting yourself. Let's see, track this up, right? You've got FanDuel here at plus 182. And this is, okay, we'll go to a different line here. We'll say 23.5. Let's track that up and see if we can get an alternate. We'll go to 20.5, right? Because that's the line tonight. A lot of books are going to be offering that. Here we go. Let's say you only use FanDuel instead of Hard Rock, right? And you take it at minus 120 rather than minus 105. That's only 15 cents on the dollar, which doesn't sound like a ton, but that's 15 percentage points in difference. That makes a world of difference when you do this on a long-term basis. You are trying to save as many points as humanly possible because, quite frankly, guys, I don't know if you know this, newsflash, Bettors don't win every single pick that they pick. That's the game right here. You're trying to maximize your ability to short the book and maximize your chance for profit. Now, this doesn't sound this isn't some get rich quick scheme. This is consistency over a long period of time. Gamble responsibly. Do this responsibly. Hard Rock minus 105, FanDuel minus 120. We're going tonight with over 24 and a half. I think the statistics so far this season for the Jags offense line up with this, and you get a ton of plus value. You're buying 4 points from 20 and a half to 24 and a half, and you're getting 87 points of value there, right? That's a lot in my opinion. So FanDuel's got this at plus 182. I track that up. And here's another thing. I do unit play, right? So we talk about what we want to do with these. When you're taking a flat line of plus 182 like this, I use a standard 1 unit play. If you're going here for a minus 105, I go 1.05 units to match that. Every single wager that you take in this book that I'm using, you should be making no less than 1 unit. 1 unit is the minimum. Everything over that is the juice that you're looking for. That's exactly what I'm trying to say here. So 24 and a half is the line that I want to look at here. That's plus 182. We're going to use this fancy schmancy book here, or this fancy schmancy tool on doinksports.com, and we can track that up. We're going to use 10 as our standard because, not everybody's big balling like that, unfortunately. So we're going to track that up and we're going to move on. We're going to talk about our sides now. Like I said, this is a Jaguars team that I believe in. The Chiefs have beat up on 2 really bad teams so far this year. Ravens, Giants combined win-loss record, I believe, is the Giants are 1-4. The Ravens are 1-4. We're talking 2-8. The Jaguars so far this season, sure, they beat up on the Panthers. They lost to the Bengals outright with Joe Burrow. That's a different team. But they beat the Texans, and they are giving the Niners their only loss of the season. When the Chiefs have played a team with a winning record, the Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers, they lost both games. I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars, not only money line. I'm taking them minus 2.5 points, plus 210 tonight. That is a bold play. But let me point out, when the Jaguars win, they cover this spread 1, 2, 3 times. Yes, they're only covering it in 50% of their last 10 games. But guys, we're talking about a Jags team that's completely different this season. This is not the same team from last year. New head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new system. The Jags defense, by the way, lights out. 10 points allowed to the Panthers, 10 points allowed to the Texans, 21 allowed to the Niners. This is not your typical Jacksonville Jaguars team. So looking here at, you want to compare lines once again, you can check it out here using this graph tool. We see Hard Rock has got it, plus 210. That's a major book. We're going to go ahead and punch that minus 2.5, and that's plus 210 on Hard Rock. And we'll go ahead and track that up as well. Actually, I apologize. Using Doink Sports, you cannot track spreads just yet, but that will be coming as a tool in the future. Be sure to keep an eye out for that. But mark my words, those are 2 plus money plays that I've taken so far today. That's Jags over 23.5 points plus 182 and Jags minus 2.5 plus 210. Let's move on and talk about anytime touchdowns. There are 2 guys that I like for anytime touchdowns in this game. Number 1 is Kareem Hunt. Not only is he receiving 40% of the red zone touches, but take a look at this as well. We're getting glitchy tonight, by the way, boys. We're going all the way up. This is a game where I apologize. I'm going to sidetrack myself again. Maybe this is a little bit of ADHD. Let me see here. I've gotten an @ here on my Doink Sports Discord. Let me check that out real quick. Yes, absolutely. Just got a message from a good friend of mine in the Discord, Tony. asking me to recap the first 15 minutes of this, I will absolutely do that. One moment, as a matter of fact, let me see. Guys, I deeply apologize. I have been on the wrong camera this whole time. But now I'm back and I'm ready to continue. Let me make sure that my microphone is on the right. Yes, we're on the right mic settings. We're on the right cam settings. Right now, we're going to be talking about anytime touchdowns. There are two that I like for tonight. Let's get into the first one. Isaiah Pacheco. Now, I am a guy who drafted this guy in fantasy football, but as you can see here, just 5 touches in week 1, 10. I'm talking about rush attempts here, 10, 10, and 7. Meanwhile, a guy that we thought was washed up in Kareem Hunt has continuously seen more and more touches on the field. 5 rush attempts against the Chargers, 8 against the Eagles, 10 against the Giants, 13 against the Baltimore Ravens. Kareem Hunt might just be the back in Kansas City. I think that he is. And so far this season, he's kind of proven me right. Just 1 touchdown for Isaiah Pacheco so far this year, 1 touchdown for Kareem Hunt. This is also a guy who gets just as many receptions as Isaiah Pacheco in the game. This is a split back committee. And looking at the anytime touchdowns, we can see here using the Doink Sports tool who so far this season is getting more reps in the red zone. Kareem Hunt is doubling the touches of Isaiah Pacheco in the red zone. Major key here. So look at Pacheco tonight. He is plus 400 on an anytime touchdown. That sounds juicy, guys. But Kareem Hunt is plus 245. 245. That's definitely something to take a look at on DraftKings. That, to me, screams value. Sure, you're losing 155 points, which sounds like a lot, but it's less than half of the value there of 400, and you're doubling, so moving over half. You're taking that 50% of lost juice, and you're giving it to Kareem Hunt, who has toted the rock in the red zone for the Chiefs. Now, while I do think this is a Chiefs team who in the red zone passes it a little bit more, I think Pacheco is far more likely to see the ball rushing it. This is a Jaguars team who, by the way, has not given up a rushing touchdown yet, but is in the pass game 30th in the league in pass reception touchdowns to running backs. I see here James Hill is in the chat. Hello, James, my good friend. He said he likes Strange here, tight end for the Jaguars. Let's go take a look at that. Plus 403. As a matter of fact, let me finish this up, and I'll start touching on who I like for the Jacksonville Jaguars anytime touchdown. Kareem Hunt is my play here, plus 245. Extreme statistical value here because, yes, we're losing 155 points of value from Pacheco to Hunt, but we're also doubling the red zone touches here. Rush attempts in the red zone so far this season, Kareem Hunt is carrying the load. Red zone rush attempts, by the way, 1.5 to Pacheco's 0.8. That's the key. I definitely think the Chiefs are going to score points tonight. It's not going to be a blowout or a shutout. This is the line right here that I'm paying attention to anytime touchdown-wise. Now, let's go take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars because I do have a play here that I like for anytime touchdown, and it's going to be to the favorite. Now, I will touch on, I saw somebody in the Discord say, or as a matter of fact, James Hill has also reiterated that he likes, I believe his first name is Brenton. Yeah, Brenton Strange for an anytime touchdown. So far this season has not gotten a red zone look. His value here is at plus 403. And that to me is very curious considering that the largest amount of red zone target share here is to Diami Brown, the wide receiver. Really, I believe he's the wide receiver 2 for the Jags. I know, I believe Doink has Travis Hunter listed as wide receiver 2. Maybe he gets more targets or maybe he gets more yardage, but I think the Diami Brown is the far and away wide receiver two for this Jags team. And his value actually is at plus 450. I find that very peculiar. Is it because he's only caught maybe one touchdown so far this season in his 3 games that he's played? Mayhaps. He caught it versus the Bengals. In this season so far, he is averaging around 4.5 targets per game, around 3.5 catches so far. And I believe that was he injured in that game versus the Texans? Yes, I think so, because he definitely missed the next week versus I'm blanking on who the Jags played last week. Oh, the 49ers. He didn't play versus the 49ers. Let's see if the injury report has him listed as anything here. Yes, shoulder injury, limited participation in practice, and that was updated a couple days ago. I'm going to do a quick Google search, which, by the way, as much as I love Doink Sports, it's always good. It's a good idea. If you don't know the knowledge and Doink Sports doesn't have it fully updated, guys, go Google it real quick. I don't want to advocate for, anything else other than doinksports.com, but go check them out. James says he likes him over 35.5 receiving yards. I like that as well, because from the first 2 games that he played, he was actually getting a good amount of targets. Let me check him out here in the Google search real quick on his injuries. Yeah, he was actually taken off of the week 5 injury report a couple days ago. So, big piece of information there. Sounds like he's fully healthy for this game. I am actually going to follow James's lead here. I've got this written down here. I don't know if you could see it due to the green screen on my fancy schmancy iPad here. But guys, I love Dyami Brown, not only anytime touchdown here, which, think about it, he caught one in his, let's see, I think he got injured early on in that game versus the Texans. So he's played 2 games. He's received 20% of the red zone target share in the games that he's played, and he's already caught a touchdown here. He's gotten 52, 57 yards in his 2 games that he was fully healthy for in the Panthers and the Bengals. This is a Chiefs defense who's been pretty stout against wide receivers, but as you can see here, he's the wide receiver 2 or maybe the wide receiver 3. And the Chiefs has been slightly weakened against that. 68 yards to Keenan Allen and a touchdown. 4 receptions, 53 yards for Devontae Smith, which, by the way, I think that accounted for over 50% of the Eagles' pass yards in that game. Now, the Ravens, obviously with Lamar's injury, you didn't see anything going on there. 1 reception for 24 yards for Rashad Bateman and 4 catches for 30 yards for Darius Slayton. I'm going alt line here once again. 39.5 receiving yards for Dyami Brown. He has done this in 2 of his 3 games. Like I said, injured versus the Texans. I believe he was probably well on his way to doing this versus the Texans, plus 185 with Hard Rock. I'm going heavy Jacksonville Jaguars tonight. I believe this is their coming out party. So I'm going to write that down, track that up as well. This is the night for the Jags to come out and have a phenomenal game, in my opinion. Now, I've used the Doink Sports tool here. I'm using these metrics and numbers from Dyami Brown from last year. He was really heating up later in the season. Like I said, let's see. He played for the Commanders last season, I believe. Game log. Yeah, played for the Commanders. Started coming out later in the season. As you can see here, to start his career with the Commanders, he was not getting any of the target share. But as the season went on last year, look at that increase there from averaging around 1 to 2 up to 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 8, 5. That was the consistent target range for Brown. Now we see with the Jags 4, 7, and then 3 versus the Texans. I fully believe that number would be much higher if he played the full game. So this is a guy you get on the come up here. You got to use a little bit of ball knowledge. You got to measure the metrics that you've seen so far with the Jaguars this season. And then last but certainly not least, I am going back to the main menu here on anytime touchdowns. And I see that the Kansas City Chiefs have been pretty damn stout against allowing reception touchdowns. But let's go back and see who those touchdowns came against. Like I said, Brown here is listed as wide receiver 3. Oh, lost my camera there for a second. Let's see if I can bring that back. 1 second, guys. I'm waiting to see if I can get my camera back here.
Nope. I hope you guys can still hear me. Okay. Well, this will work for now. Seems like we've gotten camera access back. Let me see if I can visual effects, punch that in, maybe use a different one. No. Okay. Well, we've gotten a little bit of technical difficulty here. Let me turn the camera off. Back on. You know what? We're going to rock with it. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep on going because that's the plays, ladies and gentlemen, are what matter tonight, not this BS camera work behind me. Let's keep rolling. You might see a cat or two, as you can see right there in the corner there. There's one of my cats. His name is Sir Arby's iPad. Don't ask me about the name. Let's keep rolling. So as of right now, as I can see in the chat here, Brenton Strange is somebody that people like for an anytime touchdown. Now, this is a guy who's played all 4 games. And what alarms me about the anytime touchdown here is that his value is less than Brown. It's about the same as Travis Hunter. Obviously, Brian Thomas is significantly lower, but yet I don't see him with any of the red zone target share. I would like to see that number at least sharing here with ETN, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter at 16%. That's what is kind of concerning. Not to mention, statistically, the Chiefs have not allowed an anytime touchdown to a single tight end that they've played. And they've played some pretty decent tight ends with the Giants, Theo Johnson, the Ravens and Mark Andrews, the Eagles in Dallas Goedert, and I can't remember the Chargers tight end off the top of my head, but still, I digress. Tight ends are one of the biggest targets in the red zone for a lot of teams. Theo Johnson, by the way, for the Giants, a couple touchdowns for them in that game versus the Saints yesterday. So while I do like the value of plus 403 and looking at big books, you can get it at plus 400. The statistics to me, in my personal opinion, do not line up here with the value compared to the red zone target share. While Brown sitting at plus 450 because he's coming back from injury, yet receiving that 21%, that's what kind of strikes my fancy here. And like I said, played 2 games healthy, scored a touchdown in one of them. So that's what I'm looking at here. And at plus 450, I love that value. So as of right now, guys, we're going to start recapping here. We've gotten, this is from the entire stream. As a matter of fact, I'll roll back now that we've gotten a healthy amount of viewers in here. Hello, everyone. Let me take a quick sip of water. Let's keep chatting, okay? So we're going to go back and talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said that this is their biggest game since the 2018 AFC Championship. And damn it, I mean it. They're playing the AFC champions, a team that they lost to in the playoffs just a few seasons ago with a lot of the same players that are on this roster, including Trevor Lawrence, right? Look at the Jags in primetime since 2020. Let's see here. I'm filtering out their last 5. Let's look at their last 10. Yes, there they are. These are the only 9 primetime games in the last 5 seasons. The Dolphins, the Bengals, the Chargers, that comeback game, that game versus the Chiefs, I don't even believe was even in prime time. Let's go and look at Kansas City, by the way. Here's that playoff loss right here in January, 27-20 in that divisional matchup. That was not one that they were expected to win. The momentum here is on their side. The fact that they're 3.5-point dogs, getting healthier coming into this game is pure disrespect. So far this season, they've covered it in 3 of their 4 games. The Chiefs have only done it in half. And when they've played a team with a winning record, they've lost. The Chargers and the Eagles both have winning records. They lost both of those games, failed to cover this 3.5-point spread. Guys, if you want, this is a recap from earlier. If you want to take the Jags plus 3.5, I don't blame you. The problem is, statistically speaking, you are giving 10 points of juice to the books here. If you want to take them, I mean, yes, sure, you're grabbing that field goal hook, which is extremely important. I just believe that if they're going to play at home, and this is a team that is rolling offensively, which we can see 27, 26, 26 so far this season, pretty impressive in my book. This is a team that's going to get the job done. They're only allowing 10, 10, 21 points in their victories. They're winning and covering this 3.5-point spread. And that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take them minus 2.5, plus 210 at Fanatics. I believe you could, yeah, I found it at Hard Rock earlier as well, plus 210. This is the line for me. I think that they win by a field goal. They don't lose by a field goal. Now, that's kind of a bold take. Like I said, plus 3.5. Great play here. I'm going a little bit on, I guess you would call it, quote unquote, the riskier side, but I've got statistics to back me up here, in my opinion, whereas the Chiefs do not have that in their favor. Now, team props wise, if the Jags are going to win in their victories and even in their loss, right? Team props wise, they are going 26 points, 27 points, 26 points. That's 17 points against the Texans. That's probably the best defense in the AFC, maybe even the best defense in the entire league. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are only allowing this in one of their 3 games, but they have played, I believe, statistically speaking, I can back this up real quick while I'm chit-chatting here. Let me go and take a look. NFL stats, just doing this is the only way that I know how to do this. Offensive leaders, looking at points per game. Let's see. The Giants are the 5th worst team in points per game. The Chargers are the 9th worst team in points per game. And where's the 3rd team that I'm looking at here? I'm looking for the Eagles. The Eagles are middle of the pack. The only team that they have had that is top 10 in scoring per game is the Baltimore Ravens, who put up 20 points. But that was a Baltimore Ravens team that got crippled in that game. I mean, the Ravens missed 9 starters last week due to injury in their game in week 5. So do not think that this is a Ravens team that is only putting up 20 points when they're healthy. This is the thing. This is where I get really fired up. Not only do you have to use this tool, guys, by the way, check it out, doinksports.com. You can look at Monday Night Football for free. If you like it, be sure to sign up for a subscription. It is well worth it if you consistently do this. I believe that this is probably one of the best tools out there. Use my code right there. You can see it at the bottom here, Plizont. That's Plizont. This is what I use to decide all my picks. Let me actually show you guys. This is what I use to keep track of everything that I do when I talk about ball. Let me copy and paste this real quick. Let's screen share, stop screen, share screen, share model. Boom. Okay. Now this is very archaic. This is an archaic method, but I'm a little bit of an old school guy. I take these wins and losses. So I make picks every single week. We're taking single straights only. We're not talking about parlays out here, okay? To me, that's throwing away your money. But if there's people out there who could do it consistently, by all means, go check them out. I have tracked every single pick that I have made using the Doink Sports tool so far this season. And I have gotten 140 right and 126 wrong. That to me, you think, oh man, that's only 52, 53%. That's the point of what I'm doing here using the Doink Sports tool. I'm trying to find plays that bring me value. Even the times that I have losing records, like here, 4 and 5, but I found plus money plays that increased to 0.37, right? 11 and 8, but plus 5 units. Yesterday, 16 and 12, but plus 10 units. This is the key, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in the comments and you think this is crazy, let me know. But I'm telling you right now, the 16 plays or even the 14 plays positive here are what bring me this 31 units of value. And I could go back. We can talk about my history. I think I have every single one of them recorded here on a tablet for you to take a look at. I post all of these on the stream. I talk about every single one of them. You can find all the logs on YouTube. I have most of my picks over on the Discord for Doink Sports. You can check it out there. But so far this season, we've been doing this experiment now for almost a month and a half, I believe, and we are going 31.72 units positive. So if you started with, magically $10,000, right? You would be up $3,100 so far this season. Not too shabby. Now I see here, James says 2-teamers aren't bad. I win at a good rate, but straight best are the bets. James, I fully agree. A 2-teamer, I can't hate on that, especially if you're taking, a minus 140 and combining that with a minus 160. That's and then getting plus value there. That's a great idea. I love straights just because I'm a guy a little bit more risk averse. I don't want to pair one to make it contingent with another, but I used to be a big parlay guy, right? I think the first ever wager that I ever played was a $10 6-leg parlay plus 650, and it hit, and I went ballistic, right? I won like $600, and I was like, wow, I am the best at this. I'll never stop losing. And I think the next 2 weeks, I blew through the 600. That's the way that parlays go for me. But hey, if you're out there and you find a way to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 legs and you hit them, congrats, guys. I'm strictly talking about straights here. Maybe I'll get into 2-teamers later on in the streams as we do this a little bit more consistently, I guess. Right now, we're on a heater, right? I think this is a total of 58 picks correct, 46 incorrect, and a sum total of 27 units positive in the last about week and a half. Really impressive stuff. We've hit our stride. We're trying to find the value here, but I'm going to get back to the actual let me see here. Let me stop screen share. Let's get back to Doink Sports because I just wanted to show you guys that there's results backed with what I'm talking about here. This is not just me getting on the stream and saying, oh, hey, everyone, here's what I like. Go take it willy-nilly. I do this methodically. This is how I use the doinksports.com tool. You can try it out for yourselves and do it whatever way you want, but I've been doing this now for quite some time. I think that this is the way to go, but I digress. Recapping what I've been talking about here, let me get back to my picks here. We've got Jaguars over 23.5 points. They're averaging over 24 points this season. If you take out that 23 right there, at home, they've scored 26, 17 against the Texans. Like I said, one of the best defenses in the league. 26 versus the Niners, another defense that's been phenomenal so far this season despite their injuries. And a massive victory. They run the ball really efficiently in Jacksonville this season. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they've been really weak against the run. They're 21st in the league, by the way. Looking at this touchdown screen, you can see the Kansas City against stats. This is their defensive statistics. They're 21st in the league in rush yards allowed, 20th in the league receiving yards allowed to running backs. Travis Etienne has been on fire this season. He's averaging over 100 scrimmage yards so far this year, and they traded away Tank Bigsby. That's how you know that the Jags believe in their guy, Travis Etienne, who showed signs of being a star early on in his career, kind of fell off the ladder, had a few injuries, but he's back up there, guys, and he is on fire right now. Looking at his props, by the way, which I did before this stream started, let's scroll up and take a look at him before I continue what I'm talking about here. His line's at 64.5. That's a lot of yards in my opinion, but he has been getting the carries to pair with it. 16, 14, 16, 19. that's averaging a little bit more than 4 yards a carry. And while I do believe, if you look here at his last 5 games, so we can kind of zoom in on what he's been doing. Look at his 4 this season: 143, 71, 56, 124. He's averaging over 90 yards, 95 yards a game. If you take out this 31 here from last season, he could definitely do it versus the Chiefs. Zooming in on the Chiefs so far this season, they've allowed 48, 88, 60, and 42 to running backs so far, running back number ones, right? But looking at, let's zoom out here and we'll filter. This is another way that I do this. Travis Etienne is probably going to get at least 14 attempts tonight. So we'll filter and say more than 13. More than 13, the Chiefs historically are only allowing this 2 out of every 10 times. And this is a Chiefs team that is the same or very similar front seven-wise to what they have been over the last couple of years. That's a little concerning. Yes, like I said, the Chiefs have been soft against the run so far this season. I'm banking on them at least doing that for Travis Etienne. But overall, I cannot say that 64.5 is absolutely going to go over. We could see Tootin here, the backup running back for the Jags. He could start to take some carries in the second half. So I'm leaning away from Travis Etienne, but I do believe this is a coming out party for him. If I was going to take anything, I'm kind of talking myself into it right now. I would take an alt line here. Let's take a look at, we'll shop. This is another thing that I do here. By the way, if you're tuning into this stream, I love shopping lines. So we see here, we see Profit X is offering this plus 104. Profit X is one of those sharp books. You know, a lot of people don't have access to it. FanDuel, major sports book, has got it minus 112. If I was going to buy in and go heavy on Travis Etienne, I would say I want him over 74.5. So we're buying, I believe, 10 yards, and we're getting it plus 145, plus 144 using underdog here. Over 79, and you're buying an extra 5 yards, and you're getting plus 187. If I was going to do Travis Etienne, which I'm not making it an official pick, but I would go one of these 2 lines just because you're asking for just a couple more yards per carry here over a span of 19, 16 carries in a game. And yet you're getting 14, you're getting, let's see, damn near 50 points in value for 74.5. And you're getting 80 or 90 points in value. I'm doing math off the top of my head for 15 extra yards, which would be equating to carries here at 16 carries. You're asking for less than a yard per carry extra, which is kind of what Travis Etienne mathematically has been on so far this season. But I digress. That's not one of my main plays. We're going to go back to team props. We've already said Jags minus 2.5 plus 210. You can get the Jags money line at plus 180. I think that the minus 2.5 is the play. I'm going to take a look here at Jacksonville, and I'm going to talk about their over. Here we go. Over 20.5. I'm going to go all the way up to over 24.5. They've done this in 3 of their 4 games so far this season. It's plus 180. It's definitely the play to go with. I think this is what I love about the Jaguars so far this season. Their offense has been cooking. This is a Jags team that I truly believe in. And so I've recapped here. Jags over 23 or over 24.5 here at plus 180. Let me cross that out. I had them at 23 mistakenly. Over 24.5 plus 180, right? Minus 2.5 plus 210. And then I'm going to talk about my favorite prop of the night. It's Diami Brown over 39.5 yards here. His line is sitting at 28.5, but the 2 games that he's played healthy this season, he's gotten 52 and 57, got injured in that Houston Texans game, I believe, missed the game for the Jags last week versus the Niners. They've gotten a little bit extra rest. He was taken off the injury report over the weekend. You can back that up with a Google search. And so I'm going to shop his line here. Over 39.5 has got it at plus 195. He has, once again, eclipsed this line in the 2 games that he's played for the Jags healthy. Last year, he played for the Commanders. And as we can see, let's look at his last 10 games. For the Commanders, we see an increase. Well, we'll look at his last 15 games so we can see this dramatic increase, right? For the Commanders last year, 1-1-3-2-2. That was his targets in those 5 games. Moving into his last 10, 5-4, 5-4, 5-8, 5-5, or 5-4-7, right? And then the yardage starts to follow that under all of these lines, under 39.5 for the first, I believe this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those 9. But looking at his last 6, 5 out of his last 6. That's where I'm looking at the value there. I believe he's wide receiver 2, and the Chiefs are allowing the similar line here 60% of the time. Travis Hunter is marked as wide receiver 2, but that's because he's played healthy in this Texans game, and then he played in that 49ers game. But I believe these 2 guys, and next week or maybe the next week will be reversed. So that's my logic there. I think 39.5 at plus 195. Let me jot that down real quick. The lines are shifting. Earlier in the stream, we got him at plus 185. So that's going to be my first thing here. And in the 3 games that he's played healthy, caught a touchdown for the Jags in one of the 2 games. Got injured in that Texas game, as I've said probably a million times so far this year, or so far this stream. But so, by the way, sorry guys for the background. Having some green screen issues for some reason. We're going to try to figure that out later. But as we can see here, Dyami Brown, 21% of the red zone target share in just the 2 games that he played, and he caught a touchdown in one of them. 1 red zone reception target per game that he's played, unlike anybody else for the Jaguars this season. That's my main logic behind the plus 450. Statistically speaking, that is quite literally the best value that you get out of any starter in the receptions game. Now, Trevor Lawrence is plus 580 on a rushing touchdown, or I guess maybe a receiving touchdown, but I doubt that Liam Cohen's going to draw up that kind of filth tonight. Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, Brenton Strange, and Tootin, the backup running back, all under this. Oh, and as we're talking about it, ladies and gentlemen, I've already punched it in. Oh, here we go. Plus 450. The line here at FanDuel shifted from 450 to now all the way down to 380. Either they shifted the book because they saw the value, guys, or somebody just hammered that for a ton of money. So statistically speaking, go grab that at DraftKings before it shifts. It's at plus 450 right here, right now. That is definitely the value play of the night. So I've covered the Dyami Brown anytime touchdown. Dyami Brown over 39.5 yards. He's healthy, taken off of the injury report. I've talked about Jaguars minus 2.5, Jacksonville over 24.5 points. Last but certainly not least, I want to talk about my last anytime touchdown play before I wrap up this stream, guys. By the way, good luck to everyone out there tonight. Once again, before I get into this last play, gamble responsibly. Check out the doinksports.com website. Educate, leverage everything that you do. There's no reason you should be not shopping your lines here, right? You're losing tons of value. Kareem Hunt right now, this is my anytime touchdown play. I'll get into the logic. If you take him at Fanatics, you're losing 20 points of value. That's 20 cents on your dollar. That's a 20% cut that you're losing there. No bueno. No bueno. DraftKings has got him plus 245. No excuses. Okay? If you're going to do this, do it responsibly. Educate yourself. Use the doinksports.com tool. Use my code if you like the site. Use my code Plazont. That's PLIZONT. 25% off any package of your choosing. Now, with that being said, if you like this content, if you like the stream so far, check me out on socials. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, at Plazont. I talk NFL, college football, and the NBA. I have been MIA over the last, I believe, like 5 or 6 days. Been doing some traveling, went down to New Orleans, got to see a lot of the city. Brought my father into town, got to go to a Saints game yesterday, cashed big on a Theo Johnson anytime touchdown. Went big on Theo Johnson over 3.5 receptions. If you were tuning into the stream yesterday, that alone was 6 units of value, guys. So when I'm punching these in, I'm thinking about y'all. I'm thinking about how to find you value, statistically speaking. Let's get into the last play of the night here. We're going to be talking about Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown. The Jaguars are allowing 0.5 touchdowns per game to running backs. They've yet to allow a rushing touchdown to a running back. They're second in the league in rush yards allowed to backs. But luckily, Kareem Hunt is not a yards per carry guy. He's a goal line guy. And as you can see, here we go. The red zone rush share. The Chiefs are giving him the rock 40% of the time. By the way, that number would be a lot higher if Patrick Mahomes wasn't having to scramble for his life in the backfield. As you can see here, Mahomes is getting 40% of the red zone rush share, but that's a little misleading. A lot of these runs here in the red zone are due to him scrambling. So design run-wise, Kareem Hunt is probably getting 70 to 75% of the design runs in the red zone. He's their red zone back, and he is at plus 241. He was at plus 245 a little bit. Oh, yeah, he's still plus 245 using DraftKings here. It's definitely the play to go with, in my opinion. Out of everybody here for the Chiefs, Pacheco sitting at 378. I think I found him earlier at plus 400. We can check that up and shop that a little bit. Plus 370 using FanDuel. His lines moved down a little bit. Maybe that's something of note that you should maybe check out. But overall, I definitely think that there's a tremendous amount of value here taking Kareem Hunt plus 245 because the Chiefs are going to have to figure out a way into the end zone. So far, the receiving game has not been in. Mahomes has 2 rushing touchdowns so far on the season. I doubt that continues. They're going to have to figure out a more conventional, methodical way to punch it into the end zone. I think tonight that comes at the hands of Kareem Hunt. Like I said, plus 245. DK, DraftKings is the place to find it. Diami Brown, by the way, plus 450, I believe, is where I found. Yep, at DraftKings as well. So to wrap it up here, last few moments of the stream, I've got 5 plays tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays tonight. Not a ton, only risking 5 units on the night, and they're all plus money plays. Jags over 24.5 points. Jags minus 2.5. Diami Brown over 39.5 receiving. Diami Brown anytime touchdown, and a Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown. And here's the thing. I believe if any 2 of these play, we're back to close to even on the night. So you only have to go 2 and 3 tonight to win. I believe maybe 3 and 2, but if the Diami Brown touchdown hits, then you're basically back to even. And if anything else happens, it's icing on the cake, right? That's what we're looking at tonight. We're not looking to throw away a bunch of units on some, godforsaken plays. I'm going with a little bit of a riskier night tonight, not because I'm trying to lead you astray, but because I see a lot of value in some of these plus money plays. Overall, we got 10.7 units up yesterday. If we go down a couple today, that's not too shabby. But that's going to do it for my stream, guys. Be sure to check out doinksports.com. Check me out on socials at Plaisant. Like I said, NBA, NFL, college football. I think I'm your guy. But let me know what you think in the stream next time. Now, I see somebody here, Lauderdale Owens. I know off topic, but is NHL going to be active on Doink tomorrow? Thanks and good luck tonight on bets. Thank you and good luck to you tonight as well. Lauderdale Owens, I believe that's how you pronounce your name. I don't actually know that, If I had to guess, I believe it will be active. But be sure, if you're not already, go to the doinksports.com website, check out the Discord down here. As a matter of fact, let me see general chat. Let me search up NHL, see if I can get any tidbits on that. Let me see here. We getting NHL chat. A few more days. Let's see. You there? 2 more sleeps. We need the data. Let's go, Bolts. Okay. I believe that it's coming soon. If it's not going to be active tomorrow, it will be active in the next few days. Lauderdale Owens, sorry, had to read out some Discord chats there. But like I said, thank you for the comment. Good luck tonight, tomorrow, and any other day that you're doing this. Do it responsibly. But yes, NHL will be coming to doinksports.com. So that's going to do it for the stream today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in.